Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live event. We're so excited to have you today. I have a quick true or false question. True or false, do you often reach for something unhealthy in the morning or find yourself eating breakfast at 3 p.m. because you're way too busy to prepare anything else? Comment your answer down below. Our mom audience knows that the morning rush is very real, so when you're on the go, there's no better fuel to start your day than a delicious, better for you cup of overnight oats from Mush. Today, I'm so excited to sit down with Julia Adams, the Senior Vice President of Marketing at MUSH, to talk to you more about the MUSH products and how they stand out from the rest. And for all our moms watching at home, comment some questions that you have below and we'll answer them during the event. If you're new to Moms Meet, I'm Melissa, the social media manager, and I'm so excited to have Julia here today. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank me. Sorry.
Yes.
I thought you were thanking the audience, and thank the audience for joining us today.
No,
thank you so much for having me. You know, as a mom to a 3-year-old, this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So as Melissa mentioned, hi, everyone. I lead marketing at MUSH. I've worked in food for pretty much the last 10 years of my career. First, I was at Wrigley, gum company, confections, then moved over to more of the healthy space. I was at RX Bar and now at MUSH. Eating healthy is something that is personally important to me. So I'm always looking for ways to incorporate more health into my everyday life. So this is, like I said, a topic that's one I'm very passionate about. Personally, I grew up in Colorado, spent some time in California. Now I live in Chicago with my husband and my 3-year-old daughter, Olivia.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Julia. And yes, we'd love to know more about you. So, of course, thank you for that quick introduction. And after this event, be sure to head over to momsmeet.com to read what our moms are saying about Mush's overnight oats. And we're also giving away an exciting product bundle today from Mush. So definitely keep watching to learn more about this delicious prize pack and, of course, what is required to enter. All right, so let's get into today's Q&A with Julia. As she mentioned, she is a fellow mom and is very passionate about living a healthier and cleaner lifestyle, which I know resonates so deeply with our health-focused mom audience. So Julia, could you share why healthy eating is so important to you?
Sure. So I grew up in a family that was, I would say, somewhat health-focused. Don't get me wrong, we ate ice cream after dinner pretty much every night. But we also ate salad with dinner, and my mom became a pescatarian when I was 12. So it was always something that I think I was exposed to, and it was top of mind. That said, I really started paying attention to what I ate in my 20s when I started dealing with some food intolerances, and I really started noticing that the food I was eating might make me feel better or might make me feel worse. You know, and that's kind of continued as I've gotten older. And then as I've gotten older, I've really started subscribing to the belief that like your physical and your mental health are pretty inextricably connected, and what you eat has a huge impact on how you feel physically and thereby mentally. So I noticed that I feel better physically and mentally when I eat healthy. And at this point, between working, kid, family, friends, husband, you know, life is demanding and I want to be able to enjoy it. So I'm able to do that best when I mostly eat healthy. And then for me, the other piece of that is working out in the morning.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I feel like having that relationship with food and balancing things is so key. And I know that Mush makes products with a big emphasis on nutrition and whole ingredients, specifically with the overnight oats. And I think most of our audience is familiar with overnight oats. I feel like they've become kind of a breakfast sensation in the last few years. But I would love it if you could explain just more about them and how Mush makes their overnight oats.
Yeah, totally. So overnight oats really inherently, like the term comes because when you make it by yourself, you put a bunch of ingredients in a jar and then you let it sit overnight. But really it's you're cold soaking oats to cook them versus using heat to break them down and cook them. So you're right, Melissa, overnight oats really came on the scene from like a very DIY standpoint. You know, make it yourself with milk, yogurt, toppings, leave it overnight. it's great. It's nutritious. It tastes delicious, but it is time consuming. And so what Mush identified as the opportunity to do that for you and add convenience to this notion of overnight oats. I am a huge oat consumer, period. And I think the best way to prepare them really is to soak them.
Mhm.
From a health standpoint, there's a lot of benefits to soaking. So oats are covered in a substance called phytic acid. And when you soak them, it actually breaks down the phytic acid, which phytic acid can interfere with the absorption of minerals. So when you soak the oats and you eat them, you actually absorb more of the nutrients found in those oats than if you were to heat them and cook them. So that's a huge health benefit of soaking them. It also like breaks down the starches, so they're easier to digest and metabolize. And then, you know, from a texture standpoint, there is an element of personal preference, but you get much more of a unique, like actual pieces of oats versus what sometimes when I cook oatmeal the traditional way, it gets a little mushy, no pun intended. So, you know, I think what we've done is we're doing all that prep and mixing and soaking for you. And then what you have is a very similar product to what you'd make at home.
Yeah, I love to make overnight oats, and I do agree though they can be super time consuming, especially when you're making them from scratch. So thank you for kind of diving into how Mush makes it so much more convenient and is a little bit different from maybe what our moms would do at home. So I'd love to know also if you could specify some of the ingredients that are in Mush products. I know that some of our moms might be vegan or have a dietary restriction, so I'm sure they'd love to hear those details.
Yeah, totally. I will say just I think the time consuming aspect is one. I don't know about you, but for me personally, the consistency aspect is another. I'm not huge on like following recipes. So sometimes the oats are pure liquid, sometimes they are a solid block, and it's just kind of not sure what I'm going to get in the morning. So there is much more consistency with the Mush product. But ingredients, I think, are a huge selling point for Mush. The product is gluten-free and dairy-free, and the vast majority of our flavors also don't have any added sugar. We do not design around the product being free from any specific thing, but really we're designing around making real food with whole food ingredients, and those ingredients just so happen to be dairy-free and gluten-free. So all of our products obviously have oats in them. Some of the flavors are made with a coconut milk, some are made with an almond milk, and then we have some peanut-based flavors that are actually made with an oat milk. And then in addition to the oats and the kind of nut milk, you know, there's a few other ingredients for sweetness and flavor, typically fruits, so dates or apple or strawberry in our strawberry flavor, blueberry in our blueberry flavor, and then a few other maybe spices like sea salt or cinnamon. So it's all things that you really could kind of put together on your own.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. And everything sounds purposeful, which we love. You don't want to have anything that's added and not necessary.
Yeah.
So definitely thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to divert to our moms really quick. Now that you've heard more about Mush ingredients, we would love to know if you've tried their products before and maybe if you have a favorite flavor. Comment below and definitely keep watching to enter for a chance to win our giveaway. And now that we've learned more about Mush's focus on high quality, nutritious ingredients in their products, I think we have to talk more about those mouth-watering flavors that you've kind of been describing. So I'd love to know, Julia, what is your favorite flavor at the moment?
It's good you specified at the moment because literally I will rotate through all of them in phases. I'd say I have kind of two right now, and it depends on how I'm trying to eat it. So we recently launched which we're going to talk about more, but a peanut butter and jelly flavor, PB&J with Target. And that's definitely one of my current favorites. Our peanut butter flavors are higher protein, so anywhere 10 to 11 grams of protein. And it's a bit thicker of a texture, so it's very satiating. So if I'm just looking for something like, standalone, the peanut PB&J is my new favorite. I'm also a big fan of mixing Mush up with other things on my own. So often I'll mix some mush with some coconut yogurt, some granola, some berries. And for that, I really lean towards our fruit flavors, so our blueberry and our strawberry.
That sounds so delicious. And I feel like having that kind of more protein, nut-based options are probably really good in the morning for, going to carpool the kids or going to do some exercise if you need some extra energy and fuel. So that's awesome to learn more about. I love how there's both a combination of fruity and more indulgent flavors. I think that makes for a flavor for every family member.
Yes, my daughter only eats chocolate. Only chocolate.
Right, which
I know she would like the other flavors. So.
Yeah, no, that definitely checks out. And I feel like with that actually being said, do you think that mush is a product for both moms and kids to enjoy?
I mean, speaking from experience, yes, I think it's a product for mom, dad, kids, grandma, grandpa. Like, it's really kind of appeals to everyone. We get a ton of parents sharing photos of their kids eating mush. I am one of those offenders. It usually involves a chocolate mush mustache. I mean, I've personally been giving it to my daughter since I started working at Mush, which was over a year ago. She's turned into a very picky eater. So for me, it's a huge win because it's like something that I know has nutrition in it that she is eating to supplement some of the less nutrient dense foods that she prefers at this stage.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like, there's so many pros to probably kickstarting your morning with that pre-made breakfast. I'm sure time is definitely one of them. We did talk about how protein and, getting that feel good energy when you're with your family is probably another. Do you have any other kind of just tidbits about why it's important to start your morning with a breakfast made from mush?
I think we talked about time, and obviously it's time in the morning, but it's also, as I think about my life, it's time saved from meal prepping on Sunday, which that weekend time is so precious, especially if you have little kids and you're doing that food prep while you're napping, just like being able to cut out a little bit of that and take back some of that time. And then, I think it goes back to the energy and feeling energized and having something that fills you up, keeps you full, but doesn't make you feel weighted down or isn't the like I had too much coffee and didn't eat anything kind of nervous energy buzz.
Right. No, those are great points. And I feel like it can be so hard to make a nutritious breakfast also during the week and prioritize healthy eating when you're super busy and you're just trying to get out of the door. So those are great points. Thank you so much for sharing that. And now I'm going to segue a little bit into our giveaway portion. So for our moms at home, comment below and tell us if you find that pre-made breakfast products like mush are super helpful for you during the morning rush. It'll automatically enter you into our giveaway where 5 winners will receive a mush sample pack, which is going to be delicious. So I will certainly be going to look for mush at my local grocery store. Which, speaking of, Julia, I would love to know, where can our moms find your products?
Yeah, so we are pretty much sold at stores, grocery, mass club nationwide. So we're in Whole Foods across the country. We're in Target across the country. We are in some Costco regions. So if you live in LA, San Diego, Colorado, the Northeast, you are able to Midwest, you're able to find us in Costco. We're also in all Kroger stores. So those are King Soopers, Mariano's, Fred Meyer, Kroger, depending on where you live, it's a different name. And then we're in more natural stores like Sprouts or Natural Grocers. We have a store locator on our website if you're curious of where near you sells mush, but pretty wide distribution at this point.
That's awesome. I love that it's so accessible. So it's going to be great for our moms to be able to look out for when they're shopping next. And I would love to chat more about what is next for Mush kind of as we wrap up here. Can you share some details? I know we touched on this a little bit earlier about the Mush partnership with Target and one of those delicious new flavors. But do you have some other tidbits you can share with us about some new flavors, some new partnerships, things that are moms looking out for?
Yeah, so we have our 2 new flavors launching at Target this month. So I did mention PB&J, which legit tastes like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and brings you back to childhood. We also have a maple cinnamon, which is another one of my favorites. I tried to narrow how many I picked, but it's a bit more of a healthier version of that really classic oatmeal flavor. So both are available at Target and will be available on our website as well. They're both delicious. We have a few exciting custom flavor collaborations coming out as well. So we'll be doing a partnership in July with Alfred Coffee, which is an LA-based chain, and a vanilla latte flavor. And then one that I'm not at liberty to speak about yet in the fall, with a big fan of the brand doing a custom flavor. So have a few things coming up.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like there's amazing things down the pipeline for Mush. So I'm very excited to see that. And before we go, I'd just like to survey the audience and see if they have any questions. I did see something pop up really quick over here. Some of our audience is wondering about the concentration of increasing their daily protein and fiber intake. Do you think that Mush could help them on that journey?
Yes, definitely. I mean, oats are a great source of fiber. Oats also have protein. So all of our flavors are a good source of fiber. And then, as I mentioned, the peanut butter-based flavors, assuming you don't have a peanut allergy, are quite high in protein. They have 10 to 11 grams of protein per cup. The almond-based flavors are more in the like 5 to 7 gram, and then the coconut milk-based flavors are more in the 4 to 6. So there's protein in all of them, and then depending on what flavor you use, there's varying amounts. So definitely.
Perfect. That's amazing. And I actually have a quick question for you.
Yes.
I would love to know more about Mush Impact. It was something that I came upon on your website. Do you mind sharing a little bit with our audience about, what this program is?
Yeah, sure. So I would say this program is very much still in its nascency. As we think about Mush, our kind of internal mission or purpose is all about fueling humanity with positive energy. Obviously, we do that through our product. It is fuel, but we also want to look at other ways we do that. So we've started dipping our toe into impact, which is really about how do we support others who are fueling humanity with positive energy. So the first foray into that was the Invest in Women. So apparel where the proceeds are donated to the Enthuse Foundation, and our website also has other resources of organizations or female-founded brands that we're in support of. We're working for something in the fall around like wellness and some great causes there. But yeah, it's for a brand our size. It is something that we have to kind of dip our toe into before we go full-fledged, just from a resource standpoint, but we're all really excited about it internally.
That sounds incredible. I'm so excited to hear more about it in the future.
Yeah.
And just one more question from our audience. Someone wants to know if these can be packed in school lunch boxes.
Yeah. So I think it depends on the amount of time that the lunchbox is out of the refrigerator between it leaving home and getting consumed. So we are a refrigerated product. The kind of guidance that we give is if the product is still cool to the touch, it's still safe to eat. So, depending on the environment and the conditions, that may be a possibility for lunch boxes, or it may not be.
Right.
And if they're stored in a refrigerator, it's totally fine.
Perfect. Well, that's going to be the perfect lunchbox additive. I want to say thank you so much to our wonderful audience for joining us today. And of course, a huge thank you to you, Julia, and to Mush for allowing us to share more about your overnight oats. I know I had a wonderful time learning more about Mush, and I hope this conversation gives our community a new option for a healthful and yummy breakfast. Be sure to check out eatmush.com for a full breakdown on where to find overnight oats in your area. Mush will also be providing a store locator in our comment section, like we mentioned, so you can easily go ahead and type in your zip code and be directed to deliciousness. All right, guys, remember to keep sharing, liking, and commenting for your chance to win. We'll be looking out for your comments on Mush, and we wish everyone the best of luck and a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Julia, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.